Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Is Your Way in Your Way podcast. And I am your host, Cassandra Crawley Mayo. And for my listeners, you know that this is the podcast for those who are ready to move forward in your life, overcome obstacles, mitigate self imposed and even external barriers that's preventing you from living your best life, to living out your full, true potential. This podcast is for you. And then perhaps there are those who are living their best life, but there's one particular obstacle in your way that you would like to resolve and overcome and let it go. This is also the podcast for you. And we explore topics that relates to business and personal development in addition to self-improvement. And today our topic is finding purpose and meaning. Finding purpose and meaning. Now, there are two, when I think about purpose and having meaning in our lives, there are two scriptures that come to heart. And one of the scriptures is in Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but that keepeth the law, happy is he. So with no vision, people will perish. And that part about, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Once you have that vision and you know that you honed in, and this is, you believe has a lot to do with what your purpose is, then you have meaning in your life. And one time, and when you start having meaning in your life, you're pretty content. Not every day, but most of the days. The other scripture that's really striking for me was also in Proverbs 18:16. And that's about that your gift will make room for him and bring you to great men. You've ever heard, I used to always hear when I used to ask people, well, what is my purpose? I'm trying to understand. And people would say things like, well, your gift will make room for itself. And I'm like, what are you all talking about? I never understood it. But now I'm beginning to get some clarification on that from my perspective, when your gift will make room. In other words, we all have a gift. We all have at least one. And I believe there are many people that perhaps has more than one gift. Well, once you have that gift, that gift will be exposed and it will be presented to men, because people will see your gift. When you have a gift, the gift is not given for yourself. Your gift is given to you to serve, to be of service to other people. So let's talk about a great singer. And there are a lot of great singers, but that's a gift. Let me name Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston, my goodness, that girl could sing, and that truly was one of her gifts. And she may have had others, but I know for sure, without a doubt, that was one of her gifts. And guess what? Because her gift made room for herself, she was seen among great people. A lot of people have heard of Whitney Houston all over the world. So that's one example of what that scripture means. Now, I'd like to kind of share with you how I want to talk about 3 points in regards to finding meaning and purpose in your life. And the first point is there's a journey, what I call of self-discovery. You have to like reflect, introspect, and also exploration of your life. Think about what some of your passions and your goals and your strengths, perhaps, and maybe even your weaknesses were in your life. What are your values? And that in itself has to put you in a self-discovery mode. And what I mean by that, for you just to reflect over your life on certain instances like that. For example, let's say someone values compassion, social justice, and environmental sustainability. And once you understand those values, they can guide you to pursue the purpose, perhaps that aligns with your principles. Uh, for example, I want to talk about a young lady, and I'm going to pronounce her last name incorrectly, but her first name is Malayla Yousafzai. She's from Pakistan, and I'm not sure whether many of you may remember, but I this is something I'll never forget. Is I remember when she was shot in her head by the Taliban's, and she was shot in her head because she was very outspoken about education provided to young women, and the Taliban did not want that to happen. So to prevent her from doing so, they shot her. And they shot her, and where they shot her, they meant to kill her, I'm sure, because they shot her in her head. But she persevered. Her passion for education and advocacy outweighed, and led her to overcome the adversities and fight for equal access to education for young women. So that's an example there where her values, education was critical for her passion. She believed in having young women to be educated. So that's when I talk about, think about some of the things in your life. When I talk about self-discovery, I will use myself for an example. I was always what I would call, I had this problem solving ability and a knack for motivating people. And what I mean by that is I worked in environments, and in any way you work, they're all going to be problems, right? So if there were a problem, or the my bosses were challenged by a situation at an account, then they would call on me to go in and find out what's going on. Could I hone in on the root cause of the issues that are going on? And if so, and if I did, is what solutions would I recommend? And when I was called to do that, I used to be upset about it because I'm like, I always have to go in and fix things, and I really don't like doing that, and it just drains me. And then after I resolve it and give them solutions, then I have to go to the next place. And I just complained and complained about that. But boy, was that one of my gifts. And today I am using that gift because of my business. My business is to empower women to live their best lives. And in order to do that, then I have to kind of get to the root cause of women who are not. And then from that point of view, let's talk about some solutions that'll get you to that place, because I have this passion for wanting us to live our lives to the fullest. Because when we live to our true potential, that's where the meanings will come into our lives. Our lives will be more meaningful, and we will look forward to getting up in the morning, because therefore we have that purpose, and we have that vision that I mentioned in those scriptures. Now, the second thing that will enable us to discover our purpose and our meaning is uncovering personal values, passions, and strengths. Now, we talked about, values with her Malayla, about education, but there's so many other values that you have. You may have um, want to work in a nonprofit organization that assess social and environmental issues. So what are your values? Is it compassion? Is it equal rights? Is it diversity and include that everyone should be treated equally? What is it that you have? What are your values? Do unto others as they would do unto you. Think about those things, because you do definitely want to make sure that they're aligned with whatever your purpose is, aligned with those types of values. And then think about your passion. Um, there are people that have passions. What your passion could be, fixing cars, or like fixing things, or your passion is like working with your hands, or your passion could be like pursuing music. Like you love music, you love playing instruments, you love writing. What do you enjoy doing? What do you have, like people that have this deep passion for music and connecting with others? Then let's talk about even understanding your overcoming, uncovering personal values, passions, and strengths you have. What are some of your strengths? um, like I talked about, people with a strong leadership skill. What are some of your strengths? Hone in on that. And we all have weaknesses as well, but I don't dwell on those. I dwell on what I enjoy and what I like best. So what are you good at? What are you good at? So think about what your values are, what your passion is, what you're good at. And I tell you another thing that I'd like for you to understand is, remember when I said it's a journey, it's a self-discovery journey. You're not going to find out like right now, when you start working right away. It has to be massage. You have to live your life. You must live in the moment and stop focusing on, well, what's my purpose? Because whatever you're doing now is your purpose. You could be working in a job and you may not like the job, but it's something in that job or some responsibility that you really like. Maybe you like talking, maybe you want to be a journalist, maybe, just think about and go and review an introspection of what things that you have been doing that you enjoy. Like, what are your strengths? What are some things you could do and not get paid for? Is it to sing? Is it to do hip hop? Is it to fix things? What is it? I know there is something that I'd like for you to just uncover those things so that you can figure out what it is that you would like to do. Now, another thing is, I call, like, you may have like overlapping limits. Like sometimes your values, passions, and strengths may intersect. For instance, someone may value education. You have a passion for working with children and possess excellent communication skills. And you may find your purpose into being a teacher, where you can make a positive impact. Another thing is to, you know, remember what your passion, your values, and your strengths are, and hone in on those. And what I mean by that is, um, I'm talking about procrastination on another podcast, because that's really big too. But you're going to have to weigh what's important, because you can have these, but yet you rather do something else. So you're going to have to reprioritize and get your priorities in order. And what I mean by that, I give you a great example that with my business and the work that I'm doing on Is Your Way in Your Way, I'm called upon to do different things like having lunch with friends. And nothing's wrong with having lunch with friends, but if I had planned to do something that is pertaining to my purpose, then there are times where I have to say, well, right now, I'm not able to go because there's something I believe is more important right now for me to fulfill and my purpose and have meaning in my life. So those were the three things that will help us uncover what our purpose is. Remember, it's a journey of self-discovery. You just want to kind of think about the things that you've done throughout your life, uncover your values, your personal values, your strengths, and your passion. And the third thing, aligning your life choices with the sense of purpose. And that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about my lunch. Like, I decided that I wanted to realign my sense of purpose as it relates to my life choices. Now, I can always find other things to do, but that's kind of how I decide what it is that I want to do and make my decisions. Does it align with my goals? Now there's some things that may not, but I still want to have fun. You still want to have a life. You want to live life. But there's sometimes that you have to set certain things apart to the side because that's not aligning with your purpose at the time. Um, so this, so you want to I want to encourage you to assess your choices and make alignments to ensure they're on the path towards living your purposeful life. So again, once you do your self-discovery and you define what your purpose is, what your values are, what your passion and your strengths are, and then you want to align those choices with your sense of purpose. Now, like I said before, you're not going to know them right away. That's where the self-discovery part comes. You need to think about it and what you're currently doing. It's like I was taking care of my parents, and I was like, "Now I know can't be my purpose because I'm not cut out for this." I was a caregiver, but you know what? That was my purpose at the time. So bask in it, stay in the moment with what you're doing. Even on my job, it got to a point where um, hmm, I realized there was certain responsibilities in my job that has helped me to hone into my purpose, because it's not that I liked everything about it, but it was a lot of things that I did like. And I'm noticing as I assess to my life, my work history, my personal history, all of that just kind of supported and helped me define what it is that I enjoy doing. And right now, I'm just grateful that I am now living my purpose. And boy, is it meaningful, and it's giving me more meaning in my life. Now, I want to talk about some key points to relate it to uncovering your purpose and aligning with your life choices with a sense of purpose. And I want to give you an acronym. And the acronym, whenever you want to pivot or do a reset, I want you to think of SPARK. Now, SPARK's going to help you reset back once you define your values and your passions and your strengths, and you think like, I'm on to something. I'm on to something. I think I like writing music for people, or just write music or sing. Okay, well, you want to make sure that's your life choices are aligned with what it is that you want to accomplish. So SPARK, the acronym, start the journey of self-discovery. Okay, then for the P, pinpointing personal values. Pinpoint those values, your passions and your strengths. Align, for A, align life choices with purpose. R, recognize the benefits of a purpose-driven life. Recognize it, because that's the key right there. Once you recognize the benefits of it, that's where the magic begins. And then K is key examples of finding purpose and meaning. So whenever you need to refocus on having a more meaningful and purposeful life, think of SPARK. That's the acronym. Start the journey of self-discovery. Pinpoint those values, passions, and strength. Align their life choices with purpose. R, recognize the benefits of a purpose-driven life. And K, key examples of finding purpose and meaning. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up this purpose, this finding purpose and meaning. And if you know and believe that this podcast would be a blessing to someone, please share it. Because one thing I do know, I don't know one person that has not thought about, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? What is my purpose? Why am I here? I say that because I've done that. I've done that a multitude of times. But based on experience, everything that I was doing was leading me to what I'm currently doing now. Now, because of my self-imposed barriers that prevented me from living my life, it took me longer. I would say maybe I could have been doing this earlier, but that's okay because I'm doing it now. So I like to, again, wrap this up, and please share this with someone that you believe this would bless. And also remember, I my podcast airs every Wednesday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next week.